Welcome back, boys. We're back with more Madden 22 gameplay. This time I'm bringing you the current gen version or the old gen, whatever you want to call it. It's the Xbox One and PS4 version. Up until now, we haven't seen any footage of this version of the game because EA didn't put any out, but the EA Play trial went live earlier today, so I was able to get in there and get some footage so I can kind of break it down and show you the differences between both. Now, if you're new to the channel and you don't want to miss out on any of the Madden 22 videos I got coming this year, I got a lot of bangers on deck. Make sure to sub up, hit the bell icon. We're on the road to 400K. Also, I'm going to be giving away some copies of the game soon, and probably we'll have some EA Play codes later to give away as well, so if you want to enter that, my social media is below. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram so I can give that away. But yeah, I wanted just to make sure to show you the current gen version because a lot of people want to see kind of what it's like, you know, compared to next gen, because a lot of people are still on the older consoles and they're going to probably be there, you know, at least for another year. So they kind of want to see what it's looking like here before it comes out. So I'm happy to be able to bring that to you guys, and I can talk about the differences just as a whole between both games. I'm going to definitely do a side-by-side comparison and breakdown of like the features and some of the graphics and the movement and all that as well in a later video, but I wanted just to get a quick little gameplay out. The main difference in the games of how they play is just the movement and like the user responsiveness. Like right here, for example, watch this click on. Felt very, very responsive. I'll say that's one thing about the old console when I was playing it for a little bit earlier. The movement is still the old gen movement. It's faster, it's more stop and go, it's more get up to top speed, it's more user responsive, but it felt even more responsive than it had the last couple years. Like the click-ons and the making of plays and open field movement, it felt really, really good. Now the difference here is that it's not as realistic as the newer consoles, so it really depends on the type of player you are. And if you've played Madden 21 on both generations of console, you already knew this because they switched over to the next gen player movement last year for the new consoles, and basically it's more realistic movement, but depending on the type of player you are, it's not as much fun, let's say it that way. So it's like a little bit slower, it's harder to get up to top speed, it's harder to change direction as quick, but the more elite players like a Tyreek Hill or like a Christian McCaffrey in the open field, guys that have that high agility and change of direction and speed, those guys feel more elite because of it, whereas on the older consoles right here, anybody that's fast kind of feels like the same player. So the main difference in being is that on the older consoles, you can stop and go much quicker. You can change direction quick. You get up to top speed very quick. The user defender, as you're seeing in some of these clips, you can still kind of move around very easily with the user defender and jump all over the field. You have more user control. It feels more responsive. The newer consoles is more realistic, slow down control. You still have user control and responsiveness. It's just not at that same speed. So it just depends. If you're more of a sim style player, you're probably going to love the movement on the newer consoles more. If you're more online, just like to make big plays, like to make, you know, crazy plays, like to have a lot of user responsiveness and fake outs, you like the movement on the older consoles better. It's just kind of a preference thing. But really, when you break it down between gameplay and movement between both consoles, really the main thing that separates the newer console version to me is it's just a smoother experience. Even though I don't like the movement as much, it's just an overall smoother experience with less buggy interactions. Now, those buggy interactions still do happen, don't get it twisted. And quickly here, shout out to Demario Davis, finally getting superstar abilities in Madden. He's only made the All-Pro team like 3 years in a row, and he's finally getting some respect on his name in the game. But anyway, just wanted to put that in there. But yeah, it's just smoother and less buggy on next gen. Again, like, is there still warping and like suction and those weird moments where stuff happens that just looks like it makes no sense? And are there still canned animations? Of course there are, but it's just less. That's really the only way I can describe it. Like when I was playing on current gen and even like editing some of these clips, there were just a lot of little moments in there where I was like, oh, that looked really bad. Like that was a terrible movement. That was a terrible like collision or interaction. That was like a terrible warping moment. And you just see it happen less on next gen. It just feels smoother, like even just between plays, you know, getting up off the ground, like running on the sidelines, players interacting with each other. There's just more smoother interactions, which I think it's less eyesores than the older versions of the game. Now, of course, here we're jumping into a new game, as you can tell, because I wanted just to give you a couple gameplays. I wanted to hop into a weather game as well, just so you can see, because people are always asking about weather. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. I feel like the weather doesn't look too bad here on current gen. And also, correct me if I'm wrong, is that a new interception one-handed animation? Because I swear, I just feel like I've never seen that particular one. Again, the click on and the user control and responsiveness on these older consoles are really, really good. I feel like they're even better than they have been the past couple years. It feels like really tightened up and like you can really make the plays you need to make. And I just noticed that with those couple click-on picks that I got. It just felt very easy to click on. And you notice this year what they said, they did away with a lot more of those two-man animations and canned animations with wide receivers and DBs. And I've definitely felt that because those couple interceptions right there, there's a lot of times in the older games where I would have got pulled into an animation and not been able to get that pick. And speaking of picks, now we're just throwing one right back. I kind of goofed there. I thought I could like kind of lob it over his head, but LaMarcus Joyner had other plans and he kind of snatched it from me. So, you know, yeah, I mean, go ahead and roast me. You know, I kind of goofed. But anyway, you can definitely tell that they did reduce those two-man animations. Now, again, reduced doesn't mean that they did away with them completely. There's still plenty of them in the game, and they still happen pretty often, but they happen less. And I think that's a decent balance at least. Like, give me more user control, and I've definitely had enough instances already playing both versions of the game where I've definitely felt that I could click on and make a play, both on offense and defense. So even with the wide receiver, when I had a guy boxed out, I'd go up and I could get the ball over the DB when I had position, and there I just, I missed a hit stick on that play there. So again, you can go ahead and roast me because I'm just kind of making a fool of myself in this game if we're going to keep it 100. Now, outside of gameplay and movement, for me, the other main takeaway is that both versions of the game have pretty much all of the new features for the most part, which I think is a really good thing. They didn't just go all out next gen and said, hey, like if you want pretty much any of the upgrades, you got to get the new version. The only main difference feature-wise, which we have talked about a bunch of times already, is the addition of momentum and home field advantage. That's the one big next-gen exclusive feature, but everything else is pretty much the same, which is really good to see. And shout out Tim Tebow there. We had to sneak him in for a little fun. We had to put him at tight end. You know, we had to get him involved. Why not? But yeah, all the franchise mode features, from what I can tell, they're the exact same across the board. The coaches, the skill trees, the scouting update that comes out in a few weeks, the game planning overhaul, the fatigue and health management system, the whole hub, and all of the things in franchise are the exact same. You know, the modes like the yard, superstar, KO, face of the franchise, ultimate team, all the features seem to be the same in both. So you don't have to really feel pressed to go out and get the new console, especially if you're a franchise mode player. Like if you're just a diehard franchise guy, you have all the features you need. You don't have to go get the new consoles. Now, don't get me wrong, would having home field advantage and momentum be big for franchise mode too? I mean, of course it would. That would add a lot more immersion, but you know, you don't need it to actually run the franchise, which I think is the most important features, like the coaches and the fatigue system and the scouting. Like, those are the important things to actually run the franchise, and you have all of those things. And the other major difference is just like the game day immersion overall, right? The crowd is a little bit louder and more into the game. The sidelines are better, but that was the same case in Madden 21 as well when they upgraded the sidelines. The presentation, you know, pre-game stuff's a little bit better. Like, you get different pre-game presentation, whereas on current gen, the pre-game presentation is the same one from last year, which I hate, where they're like kind of showing clips from the game before you even play the game. It's really weird. That's still the same on the old consoles, but the new consoles have a little bit of better like pre-game. So like there are like little like touches and bells and whistles there for the new consoles, but overall I would say like 80% of the changes are on old gen too. So you don't have to feel pressed to go get the new game, but we'll do a side-by-side comparison and review. Just wanted to put this gameplay up so that you guys could see what it's looking like. Hope you enjoyed the channel. Please subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and I will see you guys next time.